Let me recognize Mr. Cohen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Dr. Robinson, and you may have just probably been maybe touched on in the first panel, but the whole public media, social media conspiracy theories about vaccinations causing autism, how much of an effect has this had on people getting vaccinated, and how much of an effect of people not getting vaccinated have on public health?
So there's two parts to that question. The first part is how much, what was the effect of the anti-vaccine groups for autism? We fought this battle during the last decade, and I will say that to a great extent, that battle has been won. And so scientific data was actually shown that there's no link between vaccination and autism. The second part of that.
Let me ask you a follow-up on that.
Yeah.
You say it's been won.
I'm going to answer that because we have a new wave of anti-vaccination, and I'm very concerned about this because they don't have as their true agenda vaccination. They could care less whether it works or doesn't work because they have a hidden agenda for other things of anarchy and other things. And the tactics that they're using are ones that cyber terrorists have been using over the past several years, and I'm very alarmed by that because again, the vaccination is not their real issue here.
Well, there are some that I think, for instance, my friend Robert Kennedy Jr., he's a major anti-vaxxer, and he's not for anarchy.
No.
I think his issue was thinking that mercury as a preservative was the cause. Is that correct?
That is one of the platforms that they have espoused.
Has there been studies to show that that is wrong?
So what we have, that was said by Dr. Fauci earlier, one is it's not methyl mercury, it's ethyl mercury that is in some multi-dose vials of some vaccines. I will say that we made a pointed effort in 2008 with influenza vaccines to remove that, and the manufacturers did this without being mandated to do so, and so that there are single-dose syringes without mercury in those vaccines and those are primarily given to children and to pregnant women. And so there has been major progress on this. And as Dr. Jernigan said in his testimony earlier, that CDC and FDA are mounting efforts to be able to minimize that. But again, the amounts that there and the kind of mercury there are not the kind that Mr. Kennedy has been talking about.
Dr. Watkins, do you have any perspective on this as well? Anything you add?
Thank you. I mean, I think public health is clearly worried about these sentiments and that we need to do a better job in communicating the efficacy of the vaccine and the benefits that it does in addition to preventing disease. It also lessens the severity and complications, and particularly for those most at risk, so it prevents death and hospitalization. I think, public health thinks a lot about the fact that where do people get their health information and how do they communicate with each other? And we need to do a better job of producing convincing messages that are shared on different platforms.
How many people do you know, or can you use a round figure, die annually from the flu?
I don't have that figure in my head, but we can get it for you.
Well, Dr. Robinson, you have a clue?
Yes, sir. At the low end, 10,000, upwards to 48,000 a year, sir.
So those people more likely than not, if they had the flu vaccine, and you don't know that some of them might not have gotten the flu vaccine and it had not been that particular strain, but more likely than not, that would have been reduced greatly if all those people had been inoculated.
That's correct.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm a big proponent of vaccinations. My father was a pediatrician. He gave vaccines. In 1954, he gave the Salk vaccine to second-grade students in the test trials. Had a brother that was in second grade. He gave him the Salk vaccine. I was in kindergarten. He brought it home to give to me. And he had second thoughts because it was outside of his charge. Within 2 months, I got polio. Vaccines are good. I yield back the balance of my time.